Hello 99 Army, boys and girls, and welcome back to another storytime video. Before I get into the story that I have for you guys today, I'm going to say that I have Minecraft Death Tag in the background as today's video. So, today, this will start a two-part story about me playing football 5 years ago. I'm starting this story today since college football starts 8 days from now on September the 3rd, and that the NFL kicks off for just about everyone on September 11th. But my Carolina Panthers play the Denver Broncos in Denver on September 8th. Go Panthers. So, anyway, so the NFL is 2 weeks away, in case I didn't say that. I might have. I will give you all a fair warning that not everything said here will make sense unless you know the rules of football and or how it's played. You have to know and keep in mind that I am a football junkie. So this is from a football junkie's perspective. Okay? Playing organized football was a dream of mine since I was 7, and thankfully I was able to make that a reality at age 12. Granted, it was a pee-wee football team, but it was still football. I loved to play it. I signed up for a team with my mother, and then I was notified that I was on a team out of the 4 or so teams in the league. I do not know why. There were so few teams in the Pee Wee Football League. Maybe it was because it is a Pee Wee Football League. But I'm not gonna bang that out for the next 5 minutes. I remember stepping onto the practice field for the first time, which I was in shock because practice field was a baseball field most of the time. And it still is a baseball field most of the time to this day. Which, well, since it was a baseball field, it wasn't the best of conditions to practice in. But it was okay because I loved my teammates once I got to know them, and I loved the coaches and how they coached us, especially during practice. Just a little evaluation on the coaches. The coaches were very, very nice, and they cared. They really cared about each and every single one of us and our success and everything, and I just loved that. And I will get to some other things that I liked about them later on in this video. Today, I'll be focusing mainly on practice. I will talk mainly about actual football games in 2 weeks on September 9th during the next story time that I do. So I was nervous since I didn't know any of the coaches or players, so I decided that I was going to be quiet and listen to what the coaches were telling us to do. But I wasn't going to separate myself from my now teammates, since I would be drawing attention to myself. That would be like this new kid just walking into a classroom and then just sitting in the back of the room. He or she is just gonna draw attention to himself, to him or herself, which that person does not want the attention in the first place, and I didn't want attention in the first place. The first few days of practice were kind of like an introduction, which I will say that I didn't totally agree with at the time, but I now realize that that was important to just start the season off. I mean, we hadn't played any games yet, but just to get the bearings and the grasp on the season, it was important. So, after the first few days, we got our pads, helmets, etc., mouthpiece and, stuff like that. That I don't want to take the extra time and list everything or say everything. And then we did some Oklahoma drills. If I remember correctly, the Oklahoma drill is one offensive lineman trying to block a defensive lineman while the running back tries to dodge the linebacker behind the defensive lineman. Now, if I'm wrong, and if that drill has a different name, then please correct me down in the comment section below. I remember being the defensive lineman a few times, and I even beat the other lineman once, but I could not quite bring down the running back. We would also do 11 on 11, 11v11, just kind of scrimmage it up, just like a normal game, But, it was just normal, you don't hit the quarterback, you don't do all that stuff. I never liked playing receiver in the 11 versus 11 scrimmages because I would hardly get a chance to get the ball since our playbook is just like a high school playbook, which is essentially a whole lot of runs. So you don't pass the ball that often. You maybe pass it like 4 to 8 times a game. And trust me, I've been to high school games within the past year, and I will be going to a high school game later tonight. So I will be able to observe everything again. Before I get too far into the story, and since I just covered 11 on 11 scrimmages, I will say that one of the best things the coaches did was tell us if we had... Excuse me. One of the best things the coaches did was tell us if we would have committed a penalty during the game. And trust me, some of us had quite a few. And so did I on certain play days. I thought I wrote plays down in the script. Both would have been acceptable, you know. But, yeah. Some of us held the defensive lineman on a few plays. A couple of us had false starts. And a couple of us committed pass interference. And George truly was guilty of that a few times. I'm pretty sure that by the time the season ended, we had all committed at least one penalty at some point during practice. So nobody was penalty free, but I do not blame them because it is hard to be penalty free during a whole season. Let's see, where was I? Oh, yes. In terms of the pass interference, I would either not look back, which draws a foul, or I would try to grab the receiver because I am short. I am maybe 5.5. Hold on, I'm gonna look what I put on my thing. Yeah, I'm 5'6". Maybe a good 5'6.5". Which 5 years ago, I was a good maybe 5 feet tall. Maybe 4'10". So I was a midget back when this story was taking place. You have to remember that. I did not play the cornerback position, as the head coach said we would get an opportunity to play any position during the game. So, me saying that we were not hitting the quarterback was not because there was one designated quarterback and we did not want to hurt him in practice. It's just that would hurt us on all stages, on all fronts. You know, like the amount of bodies we would have to rotate into the game would reduce. The number that we would have to rotate in would reduce. The practice schedule, if I remember correctly, was Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, with games being played on Saturday, just as I mentioned early on during this video. And I think the practices were normally an hour and a half, which is 90 minutes. Which, whenever we would lose games on Mondays, well, I know on Mondays for sure, but I'm pretty sure that on Tuesdays as well, practice time would be something like 2 hours long, and it was just, thankfully it wasn't too hot by the time we would practice for 2 hours. Because, man, I don't want to be burning up for 2 hours. I mean, are you kidding me? But, yeah, there was no practice on Wednesdays because some people go to church on Wednesdays, and I live in a pretty religious area. I mean, there are like 2 or 3 churches. No, wait, like 5 churches within like a block radius of my house in which I currently live. There's one across the street, as a matter of fact. That is how religious my area is. So I'm not just like, oh, there's one church in the town that's very religious. No, I'm talking like 5 churches within a block radius of my house. So I'm not kidding by any means. And I'm not just saying that. So, just as I mentioned, part 2 will cover the actual games, as this video covered practice. So guys, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video. And until part 2 of this story comes out in 2 weeks, which I will remind you is September 9th, I will see you all later. Goodbye guys, thank you all for watching.